Hello, and welcome back to the second episode of my immigration lessons and my experience from moving to Canada. In today's vlog, I will tell you the story of how I landed my first job in Canada. But before that, let's rewind a bit and deal with the elephant in the room having no place to stay. Moving to a new country can be scary, especially when you don't have a roof over your head. That's what happened to me when I moved to Canada on a study permit in September 2022. Since my visa was approved only in August, I didn't have enough time to book my college residence. Everything was packed and every Airbnb site, Kijiji, and apartment on rent was booked. My campus was located in North Bay, Ontario, a small town to the north of Toronto, and I was not the only one who couldn't find accommodation. Hundreds of other students like me were in the same boat, so we asked the college to convert our course online. However, the college had yet to make a decision. Weeks before my departure, I was anxious about where I would live and how I would get to North Bay. I even considered living in a treehouse, but then I remembered that I am not Tarzan. I resorted to Facebook Marketplace and groups for help, but I couldn't find a concrete solution because of the short time duration. As I mentioned in my previous blog, I managed to find a place to stay for the month of September. Fortunately, our college made a course online, which was a great relief. I kept searching for accommodation from October and was lucky enough to find a good house in Brampton, which is just like mini India in Canada. I also made some friends who really helped me through a tough time, and they even agreed to accompany me to Niagara Falls. I had visited the falls from the US in 2017 and had always wanted to see the falls from the Canadian side. 5 years later, I was finally on the other side, and it was a refreshing break after weeks of hassle and struggle. That experience taught me a valuable lesson. You are only alone if you want to be. I made two friends. Though they were younger than me, they were there for me when I needed them. I mean, who needs a family when you have friends who will accompany you to Niagara Falls, right? Just kidding. As a classical dancer, I had always performed in temples in India for over 2 decades of my life. I missed dancing, especially performing. And during Navratri, which is a celebration of 9 days when the divine feminine energy is praised, I really wanted to perform. In Canada too, but I didn't know how. One day I visited a temple and met the priest there. I shared with him my biodata, my resume, and that I'm the director of my dance school back in India. And I asked if there were any Navratri celebrations, and if so, I would like to offer my performance there. That's wonderful, said the priest. We are planning a Navratri celebration on the 8th day, that is the Ashtami. It would be great to have you perform there. Let me talk to the organizers and I will get back to you. I was thrilled. This was my chance to perform and share my art with the Canadian community. A few days later, I received a call from the priest. Hello, this is the priest from the temple. I spoke to the other organizers and they would love to have you perform at a Navratri celebration. It's a great opportunity for us. Thank you so much. I'm honored, I said, my heart racing with excitement. And guess what? During my performance, one of my friends from my course, whom I had never met before, came to see my performance. And also, my first two friends were also there. It was an unforgettable experience. Who said making friends is difficult? As an access bars facilitator, I practice a ton of access tools and clearings to create the reality that supports me. One simple tool that you can practice to begin with is how does it get any better than this? It's a powerful tool that can give you the awareness of the possibilities when something unpleasant happens and prompt the universe to make something good even better when something good happens. So with accommodations, I still had to find a job. As an accomplished CEO of my own dance school in India and as a successful therapist, the thought of working under someone made me uncomfortable. I mean, how do you go from being the captain of your own ship to swabbing the decks for someone else? It's like going from driving a Ferrari to pushing a grocery cart. But as a student, I had limited job opportunities that required experience, such as factory work, sales positions, customer service jobs. I was open to anything and everything to change my situation and broaden my horizons, even if it meant taking a job as a professional dog walker. So I spent my days handling out resumes in malls and plazas, hoping to catch a break. One evening, I saw a poster advertising job vacancies at a mall portal. I recorded a 1 minute video of myself and submitted my resume to several places. If you're wondering, I wasn't just blindly applying to anything that moved. I'm an intuitive person and I believe that everything in our physical reality vibrates at a certain level. So when I applied for jobs, I read them, the name of the place, the job description, and based on how I felt, whether I felt light or heavy. A truth will always feel light, and a lie will always feel heavy. I would decide whether to apply or not. I didn't do this initially because I was desperate, but that evening I felt particularly in touch with my inner self. So, while applying for jobs, I decided to send some positive energy to the jobs I was interested in. And wouldn't you know it, a job posting for a Japanese restaurant that served sushi caught my attention. I love sushi and dim sum, and I was getting tired of my home cooked meals. I was intrigued by the idea of working at a restaurant that served my favorite dish. And with that positive energy, I hit the apply button. A week went by without any response, and I was starting to think that I would have to start a career as a street mime. But just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I received a text inviting me to the first round of interview at the sushi restaurant, August 8th. I was overjoyed and even did a little jig at the bus stop. I went straight to the interview, having researched busser jobs, the skills required, and the usual drill. I also did my homework on the restaurant. The first round went well, and I was called back for a second round, where they tested my patience, ability to remember tables, customer service skills. I wasn't too worried about speed because it was one of my strengths as a dancer. I passed the second round as well, and the manager was quite pleased. They complimented me on my smiling demeanor and, of course, my speed. I had passed both rounds, and I finally had a job. As a busser, yes, I know what you're thinking. A CEO working as a busser? The universe sure has some sense of humor. As I walked home, I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. I had landed a job, and it felt like a step forward in my life. But as I reached my front door, my excitement turned to nervousness. I had never worked in a restaurant before, and I didn't know what to expect. My phone beeped, and I saw that I had received a text from the manager. Congratulations, you got the job. Can you start tomorrow at 5 pm? I couldn't believe it. Tomorrow already? I quickly replied, yes, I'll be there. The next step, I arrived at the restaurant, ready to start my new job. The manager greeted me warmly and introduced me to the other staff. As we got started with our duties, the head chef came over to me and said, you are the new busser, right? Yes, that's me, I replied, a little nervously. He smiled and said, don't worry, we'll take good care of you. Just keep smiling and keep up the pace. Oh, and don't touch the sushi. We don't want any accidents. I laughed nervously. Don't worry, I won't. As the night went on, I found myself settling into the routine. I was bussing tables, running food, and making sure the customers were happy. I was working hard, but I was also having fun. The other staff members were friendly, and we had some good banter back and forth. As I was clearing a table, one of the customers called me over. Excuse me, miss, he said. I just wanted to say that you're doing a fantastic job. You have a great attitude and you're very efficient. I was taken aback but smiled and replied, thank you, sir. That means a lot. He smiled back and said, keep up the good work. As I walked away, I felt a sense of pride wash over me. It felt good to be recognized for it. As the night came to a close, the manager came over to me and said, great job tonight. We are happy to have you on the team. I smiled and replied, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I didn't let my ego or pride get in the way. I needed to earn a living, and I always looked at what I could learn and how much fun I could have at this new experience. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I was still settling in and often felt like I was in a refugee camp because I had limited utensils, and since I hadn't received my first paycheck yet, I was buying limited groceries and cooking food that lasted for 2 days straight. Cooking solo is so boring. Brighter days were ahead, but when things got low, it really got lonely. Listen up, people. I used to be the kind of person who thought money grew on trees. I was born and raised in India, where we have a saying, Money can't buy happiness, but it's better to cry on a Mercedes than on a bicycle. So you can imagine my shock when I moved to Canada and found out that a penny saved is actually a penny earned. It was tough at first. I mean, I didn't want to spend money unnecessarily, but I also didn't want to live like a monk. So I had to figure out the difference between what I really needed and what I just wanted because it made me feel fancy. Spoiler alert, most of the things we think we need are actually luxuries in disguise. Now I am proud to say that I'm a budgeting ninja. I can categorize my expenses like a pro: absolute needs, comforts, and luxuries. And let me tell you, cutting back on those luxuries feels better than a warm cup of chai on a cold winter day. But here's the best part: all that saving paid off big time when I got injured and couldn't work for 3 months. You know what they say: when life gives you lemon, make lemonade and then sell it for a profit. Just kidding, don't do that. But seriously, having that financial cushion made a huge difference, which is, of course, a story for another time. So, my dear friends, remember these important lessons. Practice discriminating spending habits. Save money whenever possible. Use the access tools I shared above. And lastly, don't give up hope. The universe has a way of listening to our struggles and prayers and answering them in the most unexpected ways. Who knows, the next time you are feeling down, a unicorn will show up at your doorstep with a bag of gold. Hey, I said unexpected, didn't I? Until next time, love and light, Sidhi Desai.